Good morning and welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And, man, we got so much to talk about. We had that bond auction yesterday, and I meant to get to it yesterday, and then I got all busy and forgot. The results are in. I'm not even going to tell you about it. We're going to play a clip from Rick Santelli after the auction. This auction was 1 p.m. Eastern yesterday. It was a 10-year note auction. And needless to say, obviously, gold's rallied. The stock market has rallied. So by all accounts, you would think, oh, man, that went really well. Maybe not. I'll let you decide. But that's coming up. We had jobless claims, all these, the cancel culture out in full effect. It's things, people have lost their minds. Dr. Seuss is banned. Now Dumbo and I forget the other cartoon, Peter Pan, who, so funny. None of these did I ever say to myself, oh, boy, that's racist. That never entered my mind. If anything, I always thought Peter Pan was gay. But, hey, that was me. I don't know. But yeah, everything's bad. Why not, right? And everyone, I know the people are all upset about Pierce Morgan, who I don't like this guy, right? But he got upset with Prince Harry, and I don't even. If I knew the girl's name, I know it. I don't know it. Right. But anyway, she made some claims about potential racism and this and that and blah blah blah. And I know we all feel bad for the millionaires that they are being part of the royal family. But he went out and just said, "Hey, I don't believe anything she said." Called her a liar. Somehow that makes him a racist. I don't know how that makes you a racist. But there it is, yet again, right? And people are, I don't know if he even has a job anymore in broadcasting. Probably not now. But it truly is amazing. And I'm thinking about transgender boys being able to play women's sports, right? Moms, you're for this? People are for this? Really? I don't believe it. People are for banning Dumbo. People are for boys being able to compete as girls. I don't believe that either. I don't. But, if you look at the TV, oh, yeah, it is. It's just like 60% of the people are in favor of the stimulus. And I guarantee you, it's only the 60% of the people that don't actually know what's in it that are in favor. And of course, right, let's face it, everyone likes stuff that's free, right? Oh, it's free. Yeah, I want that. Free. Nothing's free. The world hasn't changed. There's no such thing as a free lunch. That's what you learned. It's not what our kids are learning today, is it? It's not what our kids are learning today. I'm amazed. I'm amazed at the whole pronoun thing, right? I'm reading about stores maybe taking away the men's and women's and the boys and girls departments. What? Really? Everyone's just lost their freaking minds. I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's so far beyond me. It was so funny, growing up, and I think everybody did, right? Your parents were, they just don't get it. The rock and roll music, this, that, the other, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then as you get older, you kind of understand more what your folks were talking about. And now if you have kids, right, you're the out of touch person. And I guess maybe I'm just out of touch. I guess. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't want to be in touch. How's that? If this is what being in touch is, then I want no part of it. Right? Dr. Seuss? Really? how he's terrible? Take down Mark Twain. I guarantee. Take down all his stuff, right? He's done. Come on, we can't really believe this crap, can we? Yeah, but maybe we do. There's another thing. Hey, taking CBD will not help you be in touch with the new cancel culture. It just won't, because I take it every day. It's Thursday. I got pickleball tonight. So I've actually changed. I've started taking it at night because so many people are saying how it helps them sleep and whatnot. So I've started taking it at night. And I've gone from the 1,000 milligram tincture to the 3,000. And I take less, which is, great because, I've done the math. If 3,000 milligram tincture is $100 and a 1,000 milligram tincture is $50, I get 3 times the power for only double the cost. That works. That math works for me. And right now I'm drinking the cocoa, which, by the way, I am in shock. I love this cocoa. It may be the worst seller of all the items we got. It may be the worst. I don't get it. I don't know. It's delicious. But I'm getting ready. I'm going to take all my frustrations out on the cancel culture tonight at pickleball. When that ball is coming, I just swing for the fences. That's my pickleball strategy. Is every time I swing, I'm trying to hit winners. And I'm just going to be just smashing things about all this nonsense that exists in the world today. Again, I'm glad I'm out of touch. I really am. This is ridiculous. But when we get back, we're going to talk about the bond auction. Was it good? Was it bad? Can we really pay for all this stuff? That's coming up next. 800-951-0592. I got so many things. Real quick, the superstorm that's headed to Colorado, it's like a hurricane. Hey, it's coming, and they say it's going to be here, and then they're like, no, it's going to be there. It's going to be. Now it looks like it's not going to be the storm of the century. We're keeping an eye on it, but as of at least the latest weather reports, the event on Friday night looks like it's going to happen. It looks like the storm, number one, isn't going to be that as bad. And number two, it looks like it's going to come later in the weekend. And all of a sudden, the 4 feet of snow is down to 2 feet of snow, maybe a foot of snow. We'll keep watching. We have the right to change it. But as of right now, tomorrow's event's on. We got Steve Stars and Rick Rodriguez. I would say, when you think about our open forums, probably our 2 most popular hosts. And of course, Steve stepped away at the beginning of this year, and we appreciated everything he had done for us. So it'd be great to see him again. And of course, Rick Rodriguez as well. That's going to be 5 to 9, and Subway in Johnstown. I want to say the address is 22 South Paris. We're at 2 South Paris. I think they're 22 South Paris, but the Subway there in Johnstown. Make sure you let them know. Thank you for hosting. They're coming out of their own pocket to provide the food for the event. So make sure you let them know how much you support those guys, just like you did Cathay Athens last week. I think we got Dominic's Pizza the following week. And I just had a great idea. You know what? Maybe we'll just start playing all these movies that are getting banned, right? You want to watch Dumbo, right? We'll probably have a Dumbo movie, a Peter Pan, all these things. Who knows? But this is going to be, like I said, we're going to have our open forum guys there. It's going to be a blast. Since the weather's going to be getting colder, you go get some of that CBD cocoa. I brought in all the CBD stuff for the last event, and I thought the cocoa was going to be huge, and it was like the worst seller. So we got a lot of that. Help me out. Trust me, once you taste, I think you're going to love it. Anyway, that the event is on for right now. I believe tomorrow. Well, if it changes, we'll let you know tomorrow. But everything actually is kind of, for once, falling our way there at the radio station, and then we'll see what happens the next week. Remember the big beef event coming up next week in Wellington. So I apologize. I meant to get to that in the first segment there. So let's talk about what's happening. So a few days ago, now we know we had some bond auction problems. We know the 7-year auction, which was almost a week and a half ago now, maybe 2 weeks ago now, which was maybe the worst auction in U.S. history as far as the tail, the participation. And let me just, before we play the clip of what happened yesterday, let me explain to you how it works. For those of you that don't, it's not complicated. I know they want you to believe that it is. It's not. Okay, this is something a third grader could understand. And my guess is a really smart kindergartner could understand it as well. So we have to sell all this debt, right? We know we got $28 trillion. Biden just passed, signed the bill. So add another one. We got $30 trillion worth of debt. And, of course, we got more than that because the Federal Reserve, they've got $8 trillion, blah, blah, blah. So every day we have auctions. Matter of fact, twice a day. Twice a day during the week, we have a morning auction and an afternoon auction. And the bill lengths vary every day. It's a 3-month bill, a 1-year bill, 2-year, 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, 30-year, and there's, different amounts. Now, it's harder for the U.S. to sell longer dated maturities. Think about like a 10-year note as an example. 10 years long, a lot can happen in 10 years. Right? Just look at what's happened in the last 10 years. A lot can happen. So we like to sell shorter dates because that's a little easier. But the amounts, whatever it is, this particular auction yesterday was in the afternoon, and it was only $38 billion, which, you think about, we got $38 trillion in debt between the national and what's on the Fed's balance, $38 trillion. So think about it's only $38 billion, which is, and I don't even know, like 1/10 of 1% or 1/10,000th of 1% of the debt, whatever the number is. It's a tiny piece of the debt. And so what happens is, and how it works, figure, when you go to an auction, we got $10 there, we got 12, 15, 20, blah, 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 and it goes to the highest bidder. It works like that, but in reverse. First of all, it's a silent auction. Okay, so you submit your bid in quote-unquote secrecy. Right, so you could be, maybe you're an insurance company. Maybe you're a hedge fund. Maybe you're a foreign government, right? Whatever it is, you want to buy some U.S. treasuries. Because remember why they're buying them. Just because, we talk about, why would anybody buy them? Because who would, really? I mean, you'd have to be a complete moron to buy a 10-year note that only yields 1.5%. Even the phony inflation that they came out with yesterday was 1.7. I mean, so you talk about a loser, right? But they don't want to leave money in the bank. Believe me, they don't. Apple buys a lot of treasuries. Microsoft, they do. They don't want to leave money in the bank. They leave what they have to. But it's a silent auction, okay? And you submit your bid. So you tell them, maybe I want to buy $1 billion. And I'm willing to accept, and you write down what you're willing to accept as an interest rate, okay? And let's just, for argument's sake, say the yield was 1.5% before the auction started on a 10-year note. So maybe you write down, hey, I'll accept 1.52. Yeah, I don't want 1.5. I want 1.52. And another guy bids, and he may say 149. And another guy bids and is like, yeah, I'm going to bid but I really don't want these. So I need at least 155, and I'm going to go way. I want more interest. And what the government does is whoever will accept the least amount of interest, they get the bonds first. So it kind of goes lowest to highest. And when the lowest bid is far away from the highest bid that gets filled, they call that a tail. The whole thing's called the tail. So how big is the tail? The bigger the tail, that's bad. That means a lot of people are like, hey, I don't want, I need a better price. I'm really not that interested in buying them. And then the other important thing is bid to cover, which simply means, okay, like yesterday, let's take yesterday's auction, $38 billion. So you need at least $38 billion worth of bids. If you don't have $38 billion worth of bids, I don't even think they would have the auction. Now, so far, that hasn't happened. But normally, and I say normally, go back, 5 years ago and beyond that, we'd have 3-4 times the amount. So, think about a $38 billion auction would be very commonplace to see $150 billion worth of bids. Now, some of them may be way out of the money, but, it gets filled. Today, these bid to covers keep falling. I will let you know in this auction, the trend now has been about on 10-year auctions is down to 2.42. So think about it, not even quite 2.5 times subscribed. This one came in even lower, so that's a negative. The tail wasn't terrible. Okay, so in other words, people were willing to accept about what Wall Street had before the auction started. Now, we've had a rally in the stock market since this occurred yesterday. Gold jumped yesterday. So when I was on the air, remember gold was like 17.15. Now it's like 17.25. But all because of this auction. And if you were not paying attention, you'd be like, man, that was a really good auction. We must have had tons of people there. It must have been great. Here's Rick Santelli. He's a CNBC stock channel guy. And he comes out and he rates in the auctions and tell you how they went and this and that. So I'm going to let him tell you how this important auction yesterday went. Ramon, play Rick Santelli.
Yes, I'll tell you what, everybody is anticipating this auction primarily because yesterday's 3-year short maturity, we're really thinking about that 7-year that was horrible a couple weeks ago. Well, 38 billion 10-year notes yielded 1.523. The one issued market was trading 151.5, but yields been dropping all morning. I gave this one a C minus, Charlie minus, and I think I was being very generous. Let's go through it, shall we? 10 auction average bid to cover 2.42, a little bit light here at 2.38. 56.8 was indirects. That is the lightest since November 20. 10 auction average, as you see there, 61%. Okay, maybe the one bright spot, maybe the most important bright spot, direct bidders, that might include maybe the Japanese, 17.8. A couple and a half points above the 15% 10 auction average, and 25.4 go to primary dealers. That number's a bit too high. So none of the metrics are really spectacular. I could have gone a D plus here, but I do cut some slack that the overall market was sliding in yield, rising in prices. The equities remained firm. And of course, long maturities are what it's all about at this point, especially considering this morning might be the last bus stop of the low CPI inflation data for this cycle.
All right, so C minus, and he called that generous. This was the great success. We have lowered the bar so much, and I loved his comment about CPI. We'll talk about that, kind of refer what I told you yesterday. What a joke that number was yesterday. But a couple of things that I wanted to point out to you. So the tail wasn't huge, right? And you saw, hey, it was about 151, came in 152. That's okay. The 17.8 billion, that represented foreign interest in the auction. You know, considering it's a $38 billion auction, with the one thing why he said, I'll call that better because normally it's 15 billion, which is true. And I say normally as of late. If you went back 2 or 3 years ago, $38 billion 10-year auction, they would have had a number like 25 or 30 billion. So it's come way down. The size of this auction actually grew. So the auction size was actually bigger. So I don't know that there was really any more foreign participation to begin with. Just the auction was bigger. But it was the last number he gave. $25.4 billion to primary dealers. That's the guys we pay to run the auctions, meaning all the other bidders, they wanted a lot more, and these guys stepped in to keep the market stable.
Oh, sir. Yes, man.
800-951-0592. So C-, and really, and I appreciate Rick Santelli being positive. This was D+ at its finest. Light bid to cover. Primary dealer. So you have 3 different types of bidders at these auctions. There's only 3. Direct, indirect, and primary. And all those that means, right? Direct, okay, that's going to be here in the U.S. Indirect, that's going to be your foreign. And then primary is the actual dealers that get paid to do the auction on behalf of the Treasury Department. So the government doesn't do it. So we hire, J.P. Morgan and Bank of America, all the big banks. It's a way of helping them get free money, really, essentially. But what's been happening more and more and more is they've got to buy more and more of the auction. See, and it's in their best interest to do so. So the question is, well, the quote-unquote tail wasn't that long. Because remember that 7-year auction, he talked about the 7-year auction that was a disaster. That started the whole thing. They had a 3-year auction in the morning that did not go well. No, he didn't give the details, but it didn't go well. That's even more troubling, that the shorter ones are struggling as well. I wonder how long the tail would have been without the primaries taking so much of it. And I think that's where the worry is because eventually, well, we already know these guys, they've got too much of it as it is already. So just keep that in mind. And I know, okay, what does all that mean? All it means is we continue to struggle with the amount of debt that we've got to auction off every day. Period. That's all it means. Simple. It's not complicated. It's simple. The people that are showing up, there's less. Okay, so that's not good. Right? If you think about it, if you're a business owner, okay, and in this case, the business is selling debt. And every quarter, less and less people come. It's just a little bit. Little here, little there, little here, little there. Gradually over time, it's kind of like inflation. Oh, we just want a little bit, just 2%. Well, multiply that 10 years later, that's 20%. That's a lot, and that's what's happening here, right? Where less people are coming, more of them are bidding well above what Wall Street wants them to pay, hence the long tail. And the primary dealers are being left with having to buy the auction. Because when they don't, i.e., go back to that 7-year note auction, bad things happen. Right? So we're in this horrible dilemma. That's the problem. And again, I'm going to tell you right now, the central bank's going to have to buy more, period. And now we've got another $1.9 trillion coming down the pipe, and it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me when you're talking about a COVID relief bill that most of the money is not for COVID at all. And sometime today, Joe Biden's going to come out and talk about the next spending deal. I'm not kidding you. They're expecting another $1 trillion plus infrastructure plan. That's coming up next. I haven't heard it yet, but he's supposed to be coming out talking about the spending never ends. And you know what? We're going to end up having to pay for it all. You know it. I know it. We all know it. But neither here nor there. This morning we had jobless claims. 712,000. Still a lot, but that's a lot better. Claims fell the most in Texas and New York. Obviously, Texas went totally open. New York is opening. Where there's a big shock. I'm hopeful. I got my fingers crossed that by the end of April, maybe we can get below the previous all-time record high all the way back in 1981 of 660,000. I think we can. Here's the problem, though. This is what I don't, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I couldn't do it. I was researching it all morning. So when you factor in all plans, because we know, right, if you're unemployed the first 26 weeks, the state pays for it, and that's the number they give out for unemployment. And that's like, I think, 6.2, 6.1, something like that. But then we've got all of these other government programs. The small part, you know what? Here's one to COVID relief. You're right in that $1.9 trillion. People are going to get $1,400. Not everybody gets $1,400. Not even close to everybody gets $1,400. We've got about 325 million people. If every person got it, that's only $455 billion. This number is going to be just and I'm ballparking it. It's just under $300 billion, and here's a check. Okay, so like, okay, well, $1.9 trillion, $300 billion, you get a check. You have the unemployment, the specialty unemployment, where they're adding the $300 and all that stuff, and that's not that many. Right now, on total, we are down to 18 million. Total. That meant some of it was still on the state, some of it was still on the special, but this week it jumped to 20 million. I don't know why. But okay, still 20 million times $300. That's only $6 billion. That's it. That's all it is. $6 billion. And then there's some money for restaurants and whatnot, but I'm not kidding you. Less than 25% of the money that's in this bill is actually going for actual what I would deem COVID relief. All the rest of it's just pork crap. But there was this jump in the emergency, and it was a big one. So I don't know how we got back to 20 million with, the government said we created 300 and some thousand jobs where, the states that were closed are at least starting to reopen. I'm hoping that number gets better. But that was a weird one. And I don't know why. They didn't explain it to me. They didn't say what it had to do with it. But I wanted to give you a little texture to how little bit of that spending was actually going there. And then you top it off on how much trouble we're having at these auctions. Probably not the greatest time to just spend a bunch of money frivolously. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour. So just keep this in mind. We're struggling. We're struggling to finance the deficits. The central bank is buying $120 billion of debt every month. And we're still struggling. Think about what it would be without them buying. Right? I cringe to think. Now we've just added a ton of money, and Biden's getting ready to talk about spending more money. Inflation is here. Rick Santelli kind of mentioned at the end of that clip about the bond auction where he gave it a C minus D plus. It said this was the last of the low inflation numbers. So maybe as I told you, what Jesus must have come down from heaven himself, if you want to believe the numbers the Fed gave and the Bureau of Labor Statistics gave the other day. I mean, it's laughable. Wolf Richter, he's tremendous. Wolf Street is the name of his website. A great researcher. I use him a lot. He's one of the, when you talk about where do you go every day, this is one site I go to it every day. He's got an article up there about the CPI and just ripping the numbers. But he put a chart up. This is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the St. Louis Federal Reserve gathers this particular piece of information for them. That's why I said, really, we can say the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The Fed gives them the numbers. Okay, just so you know. This had to do with used vehicle prices. And in there, he tells you, just like I've told you, since 1997, new car prices, there's no inflation, zero. Because, they call the hedonistic, if you will, it's better now. So it's okay that it costs more because it's better, okay? Like, stuff wasn't better before, right? It makes no sense. Used vehicle prices, they've got a chart from 2000 to 2021. No surprise, there's no inflation there either. And a matter of fact, there's only been a couple of times where the Fed's even acknowledged that prices went up at all over the last 20 years. And I bring this up because Jeep, they just announced their Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneers that are coming to the market. They just announced the new pricing. If you want the Grand Wagoneer, starting price $86,995,000. But that's not loaded. Listen, if you want it loaded, it's over $111,000. And I'm like, it's almost the price of what I bought my first home. And this is a Jeep. And it's not like the Jeep, like the off-road Jeep. This is like a Wagoneer. It's an SUV. Yep. They're saying that, there's a reason that it's so expensive. It has 75 inches of screens. Yep. So maybe you could have your kids, you play all the band movies you want in there. We can get Dumbo on there and Peter Pan. Right? Maybe so the Dr. Seuss, they made a bunch of those movies. You can get all that on there. I'm sure Tom and Jerry, they're probably next, right? They're on the clock. And including a 10.25-inch touchscreen in front of the passenger. Yes. So you can stream videos. See? This is why it costs so much. Oh, and of course, let's not forget, they got navigation and what else here? Oh, exterior cameras, right? Because no one knows how to back up anymore without a camera. Here, I got to give you this too. The interior features also include satin American walnut wood. Yeah. Aluminum and Napa or Palermo leather-trimmed 24-way power seats. Yes, that's right. You can now adjust your seat in 24 different ways. I mean, remember the old days, right? All you could do was go forward or backwards. Right now, apparently, you can go side to side, round and round. Who knows? I mean, it'd be great. Just think about all the different positions. That's what you're getting. No inflation. Oh, my Lord. $100,000. Well, more than 100, right? The cheapy model. I can't imagine what you get for the 87,000. Right? What do you get? Like cloth seats, right? The touchscreen, it's not 10 1/4 inches. What you probably only get like an 8-inch screen. I mean, it'll be terrible. And instead of a 24-way seat, you probably only get 12, right? I mean, it'd be just awful. But don't worry, the Fed's already said that's not inflation at all. So it's the first time I've ever seen a Jeep anything for $100,000. Wow. Who can afford all this stuff? That's what I want to know. Who the heck can afford that? Well, that's the problem with the debt. Who can afford it? Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment. I just heard something absolutely ridiculous. Arlene is telling me that schools, not all schools yet, but schools are sending home letters with their children saying that they're instructing their children no longer to refer to their parents as mom and dad. What are they supposed to call them? Instead, referring to them as a significant family member. Again, if this is being in touch, I don't want to be. Got a couple of items here. A Mint State 64 Saints. Mint State 64 Saints. If you know what they are, great. If you don't know what they are, don't worry about it. But Mint State 64 Saints. Brittany, what did I say the price was? $2,295 on Mint State 64 Saints. We got about 75 of them available at 800-951-0592. We still have a few of the three little Indians that we ran yesterday at $2,095. So if you want a 10 and 5 and a $2.50 Indian, we have some of those available as well. Right now, gold $1,725, silver $1,600 or $1,600. Not yet. That's a foreshadowing. 26.15 on silver. The Dow is up 300 points, and so is the Nasdaq. Apparently, C minus, D plus is now good at these auctions. You know what? Here's the sad part. That may be true. That's probably true. It's going to be tough. We'll see how it all works out. Again, the spending isn't over. I told you this all along. This is just round one. Inflation is coming. It's here. Right? It's here. By the way, if you don't want the Grand Wagoneer, you just want the regular Wagoneer, well, that only starts at $60,000. Yeah. Again, I don't know how anybody affords any of that. 800-951-0592. Tomorrow on Friday here, we'll talk about Jeffrey Gundlach and what he had to say about gold, saying that the gold sell-off is over. We'll get to that tomorrow. Of course, he's one of the guys that that's where the big billionaires, that's who they give their money to. So take advantage here. I don't think gold's going to stay down much longer. 800-951-0592. The Mint State 64 Saints, PCGS and NGC grade. at $2,295. The three little Indians, the 10, the 5, and the $2.50 Indians. We got 4 or 5 of those packages left at $2,095 at 800-951-0592. And just a reminder, we will let everybody know, but it looks like the event tomorrow at the radio station is on. The superstorm has not quite so super, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll keep you updated. God bless everybody. Have a great day.